This is an electric car, and that is a petrol-powered car. And which one goes further? Lately in ERLC, electric cars have made an appearance in the car spawner menu. No longer do we have to rely on these fossil-fueled cars anymore, and instead we have an option for these futuristic pieces of transportation. And so we will answer these two very important questions. Which electric vehicle has the most range? And how does a gas-powered car work in ERLC? Stick around to find out. But before we really get into the juicy stuff, make sure that you are really subscribing to this channel and turn notifications on. Harvesting data for this took a lot of time and precision. So, how can we know the range of these electric vehicles? It's not like the data is already provided there. I mean, the gauge cluster is pretty simplistic to say the least. If anything is, it only provides your percentage and what gear you're in with your top speed. And the electric chargers don't even help either, because unlike the conventional gas pumps, these chargers don't state your maximum battery capacity, only your percentage. But please bear with my mediocre explanation and my certified physics degree I got from the back of a milk carton. Here's my methodology. As you'll notice, these electric vehicles have a battery percentage, and the battery percentage will drain over time depending on your speed. Hence, if we go on a constant speed, let's say 60 miles an hour, we can have a constant battery depletion time. Then, I'll measure that time it takes to deplete 1% of the battery at that constant speed. Now, all electric cars have a full charge of 100%. Since I got the time needed to deplete 1% of charge, we could just multiply that time by 100 to get our total time for battery depletion at that constant speed. Remember that I'm testing these cars at a constant speed, so the formula velocity equals distance divided by time is in effect. The velocity will be our constant 60 miles an hour, and the time will be the result of the multiplication beforehand, of course converted to hours. As a result, we'll get the total range from that formula. Though I should remind you about two things. One is that most of you people will drive in excess of 60 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour will be some sort of our quote-unquote lab condition. And second, being a keyboard driver, keeping a truly constant speed of 60 miles an hour is easier said than done. So there's a 1 mile an hour tolerance either way, since the average of 59, 60, and 61 is 60. And if you think I'm done, nope, I also measure how much the battery capacity these cars have in kilowatts an hour. So, how am I going to achieve that? Well, by using the provided chargers, we can actually see the price per kilowatt an hour. I can then charge the car at a certain percentage, let's say 90% or 75%. And then I'll see how much cash we spent by refilling the remaining percentages. The cash data will be observed by the small pop-up on the left side of the screen there, since I've tested that the money meter in the charger's UI is wrong and not exact. Now assume I fill the car from 90%. It means I've spent my money filling up 10% of the total battery capacity by fast charging. Now because 10% is a tenth of 100%, we can just multiply the cash spent on the 10% by 10 to get the total spending if, say, I charge the car from 0 to 100%. Once we get that value, we can just compare it against the dollar to kilowatt an hour ratio according to the in-game electric charger's UI. But again, there are some notes I need to share here. Upon further investigation, I found that the PKM Risen Roadster and the Police Falcon Advanced both has a more expensive charging rate than the other electric vehicles. So to get the best results, all cars will be charged outside of the automatic charging zone, so the charging zone will affect the outcome of the percentage. Also worth noting is that charging on the green parking zone is cheaper than charging outside of the green parking zone. Again, all cars will be charged in the exact same manner, and charging locations seem to not affect kilowatt an hour pricing. And to be fair with our data, whatever is displayed on the kilowatt an hour to dollar meter will be used in our calculation. Well, thanks for listening to that botch job explanation, and now here are the figures and the calculations. Ranked, of course. At number 6, we have the BMW i8, aka the PKM Risen Roadster. At 60 miles an hour, it will take me 8.92 seconds to deplete 1% of battery charge, which means the total time needed to deplete 100% of battery is 892 seconds, which equates to 0.247 hours, which equates to 14.86 minutes. If you're going at the constant speed of 60 miles an hour, it will take you as far as 14.82 miles. Now I spent $12 to get 25% of the battery charge, which means I need $48 if I want to charge the battery to its top capacity. it would take $1.52 for 1 kilowatt an hour, which means the total battery capacity is a grand 31.57 kilowatts an hour. Being a performance-specific vehicle, no wonder the battery drains so fast. At number 5, we have the Tesla Model 3, aka the Celestial Type 6. At 60 miles an hour, it will take 13.16 seconds to deplete 1% of battery charge, which means the total time needed to deplete 100% of battery charge is 13.16 seconds, which equates to 0.365 hours, which equates to 21.93 minutes. At the constant speed of 60 miles an hour, it will go as far as 21.9 miles before running out of charge. Now I paid $7 for 10%, which means I spent $70 for 100%. With a $1 to kilowatt ratio of $1.42 per kilowatt an hour, it will have a grand total of battery capacity of 49.29 kilowatts an hour. At number 5, we have the Mustang Mach-E, aka the Falcon E Stallion, or whatever you call it. At 60 miles an hour, it will take 16.05 seconds to deplete 1% of battery charge, which means the total time needed to deplete 100% of charge is 16.05 seconds, which equates to 0.445 hours, which equates to 26.75 minutes of drive time. Now at 60 miles an hour, this SUV will go as far as 26.7 miles before running out of juice. I spent $8 for 10%, so it's $80 for 100% at a $1 to kilowatt ratio of $1.42, which means we have battery capacity of 56.33 kilowatts an hour. At number 3, we have the Police Ford F-150 Lightning, aka the Falcon Advanced Boat Pursuit, or PPV, or whatever you call it again. It would take 16.7 seconds to deplete 1% of battery charge at 60 miles an hour. The total time needed to deplete 100% of charge is 1670 seconds, which equates to 0.463 hours, which equates to 27.83 minutes of drive time. If you're going at the constant speed of 60 miles an hour, the total range will be 27.78 miles. I paid $24 for 25%, which means I'll need $96 for 100% of charge. At a $1 to kilowatt ratio of $1.52 per kilowatt, it will have a grand total capacity of 63.15 kilowatts an hour. At number 2, we have the normal Ford F-150 Lightning for the civilians. It will take 17.62 seconds to deplete 1% of charge at 60 miles an hour, which means it will take 1,762 seconds to deplete 100% of charge. That equates to 0.489 hours, which equates to 29.36 minutes of drive time. At a constant speed of 60 miles an hour, you can expect a total range of 29.34 miles. I paid $9 for 10%, which means it's $90 for 100%, and a ratio of $1.42 for each kilowatt an hour. It has a total battery capacity of 63.38 kilowatts an hour. And finally, at number 1, the electric vehicle that has the most range is the Audi e-tron, aka the Averon Anodic. This SUV will take 19.89 seconds to deplete 1% of charge at 60 miles an hour. The total time needed will be 19.89 seconds, which equates to 0.552 hours, which equates to 33.50 minutes of drive time. Now, at the constant speed of 60 miles an hour, the furthest you can go in an electric vehicle is 33.12 miles. I paid $24 for 25%, which means it's $96 for 100% at a $1 to kilowatt an hour ratio of $1.42 per kilowatt an hour. The total battery capacity is 67.6 kilowatts an hour. What a discovery. So the range actually seems real pathetic compared to real life, though maybe I should also tell you how small the map is in ERLC. In this clip, I went on the loop in the game and shown constantly going at 61 miles an hour. The timestamp you saw before is my reference point as I edited this video separately. I'm just going to speed the video up, and while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe, like and share, spread the information so many people will know it afterwards. I can then just go back to where I started the timer and post a timestamp as my reference point, which you can't ignore. This timestamp that I just posted will be subtracted with the timestamp from before, and that time will be our total time elapsed at set distance. So at 61 miles an hour, I've spent 1 minute and 57 seconds driving. We can then convert this time into hours, and we're going to put it back into our velocity equals distance divided by time, which means the total loop was about 2 miles, rounded up that is. And just in case if you're patient enough to go at a constant speed of 60 miles an hour at the same route as I did, here's how many times those electric vehicles would have looped until they ran out of battery. And now here we are with the second question in this video, the one that you've probably been waiting for. Which one goes further, a conventional gasoline car or an electric car? But before we jump into the conclusions, we need to know how does the fuel system work in ERLC. Of course, we're going to measure them in miles per gallon. Luckily, after many hours, I've made a system where I can calculate the fuel economy of each ICE car in ERLC. This involves going on the same route with basically the same speed. Then I can use two data provided from the gas pumps, which are the current fuel capacity and the total fuel capacity the car can actually handle. This will be the route I'm taking, starting from the farm's gas station, along making my way through the prison, and then to the police station, and then through this main road next to the river, and finally going back to the gas station again. I'll use the Toyota Prius to calculate the total distance, as this hatchback has a low top speed of 66 miles an hour, which helps in my calculations. There's 3 phases the car would do while traveling in my current testing: when the car accelerates, when the car is traveling at a constant speed, and when the car brakes or decelerates. While at constant speed, you know well we use the formula velocity equals distance divided by time, but when accelerating or decelerating, we'll use the formula distance equals initial velocity multiplied by time, additions to half of the acceleration multiplied by times squared. But to these calculations, I need to convert some units here and there. So distance will be in meters, velocity will be in meters per second, time will be in seconds, and acceleration will be in meters per second squared. But you don't need to worry at all, as I'll be doing the calculations here. For any additional data, like acceleration and braking times, all of which will be done by me personally, we'll assume my run was achieved with perfect acceleration and deceleration times. Here's the calculations. Let's start by measuring the acceleration and braking times of the Toyota Prius, as shown here. I'll also measure how long it takes to go around this agreed route that I've mentioned before. The timer has started at 66 miles an hour, hence that's why when I measured the acceleration and braking times, they're all measured between 0 to 66 and not 0 to 60. I'll speed up the video so you won't get bored to death and post the times here. Since we have the elapsed time data now, we can measure the distance we've traveled along the way. When accelerating, the car took 5.68 seconds. We'll convert 66 miles an hour into meters per second, which is about 29.5 meters per second. The formula for acceleration is final velocity subtracted by initial velocity divided by time. We can just insert the numbers where the final velocity will be 29.5 meters per second, the initial velocity will be 0 meters per second, and the time will be 5.68 seconds. Together we get a value of 5.193 meters per second squared, which will round it up to 5.2 meters per second squared. As mentioned before, here's the formula we're going to be utilizing. Just put all the numbers in accordingly, and for the result, we get 83.88 meters. Convert that into miles and we get 0.052 miles. Now when the car is en route going at a constant speed of 66 miles an hour, we could just use velocity equals distance divided by time. We know that the velocity is 66 miles an hour and the time required is 0.014 hours, converted that is, and we get the value for distance, which is about 0.924 miles. Now for deceleration, we can use the exact same formula as when the car was accelerating, but this time the initial velocity will be 29.5 meters per second as in 66 miles an hour, and the final velocity will be 0 meters per second, divided by 1.63 seconds, which is the time needed to grind the car into a halt. Since this is deceleration, the value intended would be negative, which is about negative 18.1 meters per second squared. And we're going to use the exact same formula as when we accelerate the car, but this time the initial velocity will be 29.5 meters per second and the acceleration value will keep its negativity. We will get that total distance of 24.04 meters, convert that to miles, that will be 0.0149 miles. Then we can add up all our values for a total distance of 0.9909 miles, which we can round out to exactly 1 mile. Well, how about fuel consumption? Well, I tested that with different cars that have different fuel capacities. They were all tested at our same track with slightly different speeds. And here's their screenshots upon filling them back up again. Notice anything? Well, no matter the car, they all drank nearly the same amount of fuel. I found it funny that the Dodge Challenger Hellcat has the same appetite as a Toyota Prius, and vice versa. So, what you can do next is to take an average, which is about 1.065 gallons. Now, I don't have perfect driving, and approaching the gas station pumps after each drive may have cost me some fractions of a gallon. To adjust for imperfections and to ease calculations, we can just round the number down to exactly 1 gallon. If we define MPG, it literally stands for miles per gallon. So as tested, for 1 mile, we use 1 gallon, which means every gas or petrol powered car in ERLC has a fuel economy of 1 miles per gallon. So what does that mean exactly? Well, you see your maximum fuel capacity? That's your total range for your car. In real life, there's many factors for fuel economy, from aerodynamics to engine size to how crazy you are. But the same MPG may have saved the ERLC devs from immense time spent on coding each car, as all you need to do to increase or decrease the range of an ICE vehicle is to just by adjusting the maximum fuel capacity of said vehicle. So, without further ado, let's just answer that question. Which one goes further? Remember, I already have the data for the EV vehicles. If you just really want to compare it to other cars, head out to the ERLC wiki and find out what their maximum fuel capacity is. Remember, the maximum fuel capacity is your total range. But for me, I'll just compare them to cars which are similarly priced or based on my personal preferences. So, let's just start out with the comparison. The BK Risen Roadster will do 14.82 miles, the Corvette C8 14 miles, the AMG 4-door also 14 miles. For the Mustang Mach-E, that electric SUV will do 26.7 miles, the 2021 Tahoe 25 miles, the 2019 Ford Explorer 22 miles, the Tesla Model 3 or the Celestial Type 6, that will do 21.9 miles, the Nissan Altima 15 miles, the Civic 17 miles, and the Chrysler 300 also 17 miles. The Aviron Anodic, the electric vehicle with the most range, will do 33.12 miles. The Audi Q8, which is its gas-powered derivative, will only do 25 miles. The civilian Ford F-150 Lightning, that will do 29.34 miles. Same year, same truck, but its gas-powered derivative, only 25 miles. The police Ford F-150 Lightning, that will do 27.78 miles. The Dodge Ram Police, only 22 miles. The Silverado, only 25 miles. And the police Ford F-150 with the ugly bed cap, only 25 miles. The EVs, man, they swiped all of the internal combustion engine cars away in terms of range. However, there's one truck that refuses to lose to all of these earthly vehicles, and yes, I did say truck, which is the SWAT truck. This armored behemoth has 30 gallons under its armor plating, which means it will do 30 miles. Still, that's not enough to outpace a Aviron Anodic, which can do 33.12 miles at 60 miles an hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go the furthest in ERLC, but hang on, I need to intervene here. In the midst of editing this video, I found out that the battery of an EV will drain faster the faster you go. The problem is, the difference is, well, weird. I need you to take a good hard look between both of these pictures. At 60 miles an hour, we spent 8.92 seconds. If we go double the speed, we only lost like 1 second of our time needed. But I know you are very curious with the results, so here's me redoing them again. I am timing them right now so you will believe with my results and calculations. So apparently the reason why is pretty simple. When they go faster, they don't really lose as much seconds as when they're going slower. In other words, if you really want to maximize your EV range, you have to step the pedal to the metal. I mean, that's just how ERLC works at this point. So to make things even more clear, I will post the calculations here so you can see the difference between when it's going at 60 miles an hour and when it's going at its maximum speed. Now, because some cars travel faster than others, those faster cars actually have an increase in the estimated range as per calculated before. So, what can we conclude from this experiment? The simple answer and the long answer is yes. Electric vehicles do have more range than the ICE car in ERLC. Electric vehicles' range are affected by the speed of their car, but the ICE cars aren't, so no matter the speed, they still will do about the same amount of fuel as tested with these clips here. The king of electric vehicles in terms of range is the aerodynamic, aka the Audi Q8 e-tron, as it will do the most range no matter the speed. Though do please remember that I've tested these cars in a certain constant speed application, so in practice, your driving style heavily affects the range of your EV. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in until the end of the video. I've spent so much time editing this informational video just for you guys, and since you've made it, why don't you subscribe, share, and like to help launch this channel into the millions. Stay frosty, and see you guys next time.